Hi guys, Ronnie here. Today I'm building up my new time trial bike for 2018 and I want to show you the details and build process. Now, it's a track speed concept as before with some minor changes. As with every speed concept and aero bike build, I start with the Aero Bar. For this build I'm going to use foam sleeves quite liberally because these bikes tend to rattle and I hate that. That adds a bit of time to the build itself, but in the end it's going to be worth it to get a fully silent bike. This new bike also comes with the UCI legal version, so I'm good to go at all kinds of races, and it's also one size smaller than before and has some other different touches to it, which I'm going to talk you through later on. Now, the biggest difficulty with this build is fitting the aero bar and then the extensions together with the cables. After that it's just basically like any other bike, maybe except for setting up the wedge operated brakes. But I built up a lot of these bikes now and I can do basically a full build in around 4 to 5 hours from scratch. It's quite easy with my mechanical 1x group set because there's just one inner cable to guide, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm still using my red 22 mechanical derailleur. Interestingly, I didn't have to touch the limit screws or the bead tension, so the frame is basically identical in terms of tolerances to my previous one, and I only needed to tinker around a bit with the cable tension. Setting up the rear brake is a bit of a faff, but yeah, once you get the hang of it, it's not really a big deal. Then fitting the Kogel BB90 bottom bracket and then the 165mm SRAM carbon cranks with the torque power meter on there. I'm going to use the Head Jet series time trial wheels for this build, and also a set of 2 spokes, which I've shown you earlier, and then for the most hillier courses I have a set of MV 7.8s, which are almost as fast as a full-on time trial setup, but very light as well, so the bike should come up at under 8 kilos with those. Okay, the bike is now ready, completely assembled, and if you look at it at the first sight, it might look exactly the same as the last one, but actually there are quite some changes. So let's start with the frame. Now, the frame I've been using previously was a 2016 9 Series Speed Concept, and it was one of the last frames that were made still at the US factory in Waterloo, Wisconsin. Now, since then, KTM Track have moved their production to Taiwan, including the high-end models, and this bike is a 2018 version. There is no 7 or 9 Series Speed Concept anymore, there's just one, and it's basically a mashup of the two at a lower price point and made in Taiwan. So here on the top, the seat tube, it says OCLV 500. Doesn't really mean a lot. What the differences are between the super high-end older model and this one? Well, weight-wise, there's a tiny bit of difference. I would say 50 to 100 grams maximum. But there are some details from manufacturing which you can see. So the bosses for these accessory mounts are rib nut instead of being bolted on or bonded into the frame. Then the front derailleur hanger, it's riveted on instead of being molded from carbon in the monocoque design. Same for the dropouts, these are now aluminum molded into the frame, and same at the front. So yeah, perhaps the layup is a bit different. I can't really comment on that, there's not really any information out there. But weight wise, I've measured this bike up, it's 8.25 kilos. It comes with an aluminum seat post now, but I've ordered a proper carbon seat post from the older model, so I'm going to have that together with the dash saddle. This is heavy as a brick, so yeah, the weight of the dash saddle and the carbon seat post should be the same as this aluminum seat post, and it's 8.25 kilos with these quite heavy wheels, so it's pretty much spot on with my last bike. Although this is a size small, the reason for that is I wanted lower stack, and this is the way I can get it. If you're a short rider, you need a very small frame. You can see that the head tube is very minuscule. This way I get almost 3 centimeters more drop, so that's nice. I can even add a little bit of stack on there, and my base bar is still pretty damn low. So this is the position I wanted. Reach wise, I had to change from the stock mid near stem to the long low one, so this is perhaps the most aggressive, and this way I have the same reach with lower stack than previously on my size M frame. Another difference is that this frame now comes with the UCI legal badge. You can see it right there, so that means no speed fin. Another design change from the older models is that you don't have two separate types of cover anymore. You have this stock one, and you can put or screw the speed fin onto this. So yeah, I think it's a bit more clever this way. What still irritates me about this new frame and all the other track frames is the duo trap. Now, I don't know anyone who would still use cadence and speed magnet on there, so it's pretty much useless. I've never used it. It just adds a nice big hole in the frame on both sides, and yeah, I don't think it's entirely necessary. So I just removed that, taped it over to save a bit of weight, although it might not be super aesthetic. Yeah, but never mind that, it's functional. Yeah, so the base bar now also comes with the UCI legal version, and this is quite a bit shorter in terms of section, and it's actually a good thing because sometimes I had problems with knee clearance, and this is much shorter, so when accelerating out of a turn, I think this will be much better, and I think stiffer as well. Sorry. So this is a size small frame, as I've mentioned. An odd thing is that it comes with a long version of the Ergo extensions. On my previous bike I had the short ones, so it was a bit of a surprise, and I didn't really expect that, but I was able to dial in my position despite this fact. Now the frame doesn't come with any accessories anymore for triathlon. For me that's a good thing because I'm not paying for things that I don't need. But I really rather like to see a carbon seat post on there, and perhaps the option of choosing your stem before ordering, so I had to source these independently, which adds a bit of complexity to the build. Okay, this is the frame itself. As you can see, the head wheels are on. Another pair of 2 spokes is coming. I sold the old ones, so these are going to be my Tamcha wheel sets. In terms of the setup, tiny changes here. So I've used some Z-Skins finishing tape on the base bar. also some skateboard grip tape, and yeah, the same thing here. Then I've also changed the type of levers that I use. Previously I've used the SRAM S990 levers because I thought that the feature of the cable adjustment when winding the lever in and out would be useful. And yeah, it's a nice feature, but not in this frame unfortunately, because it has wedge operated brakes, and the wedge needs to be at an exact specified position in order for the brake to work properly. And if you were to change the preload of the brake cable with the S990, then it will screw it up, so it's useless. Instead, now for this build I've ordered S900 brakes, or levers, sorry, which are a bit cheaper, lighter, and more importantly much more easier to assemble and set up. So this is one of the changes. Then yeah, the frame itself, I've already talked about that. The group set remained the same, so SRAM red 1x11 mechanical, it's what I like to use. Although the cranks, or more specifically the chainring spider, the power meter have changed. The cranks are still 165mm. I decided to go for a standard 130 BCD spider on there, and SRAM's regular non-oval 54 tooth chainring with the narrow wide profile. I really like the Aero coach ring, but on the trainer I have had the impression that it flexes a little bit too much side to side at higher powers, and the compact BCD spider doesn't help it. This one is solid as a rock, plus it's completely round, so the power measurement should be more accurate as well. And then finally, in terms of the saddle, that one hasn't arrived just yet. It's going to be dash stage 9. So same as before, but without the water bottle mount option. It's a bit cheaper, a bit lighter this way, and yeah, previously when I was building my first bike up, I was also thinking about getting into triathlon. In the end I stuck to cycling, so I'm not going to need that function anymore. Yeah, so this is a detailed overview of my new time trial bike. If you'd like to know more about my other bikes or why I chose this frame, I was looking at all different kinds of time trial frames, but in the end I decided to stick with track. I'm going to make a video about that later on, so if you want to see that, don't forget to tune into the channel and subscribe. It's all for today, thanks for watching and see you next time.